So I'm going to start actually standing. We're going to move the block towards the back of the mat. And I get my bolster out to the side, and we'll be using that really at the very end of the class. So we're just going to let ourselves settle a little bit. So I'm going to start to plant the feet down, rock out through the shoulders a little bit, turn the palms forwards, the t-shirt around to be sitting properly. And then allow yourself to just wriggle the weight from side to side slowly. And lift the toes, kind of like a piano player, you're wriggling through. I'm going to step off of my mat onto a hard floor. And I'm right-handed, so that's my dominant leg. I'm going to take the left foot off the floor and just allow the hands to sit by the side of my body. Whether you bend the knee or sort of kind of tuck the foot around the back or hold it out to the side, that's kind of up to you. We're just going to stand for a minute on one leg. So we should be able to feel the foot kind of wiggling around or working pretty hard to hold itself up. Prepping the muscles of the legs to automatically work on balance. It's not something that we can consciously think forward of and plan for an event. Your leg is moving around underneath you and your body reacts. And now we're going to take it into the opposite leg. Take a little breath, lift away, find something to focus on. It's only a minute. What we're looking for is to see whether we can manage a minute on both legs, and if there is a big difference between how well we balance on one side and the other. Even if you're able to hold the balance fairly well, you might notice that the leg feels like it's doing a lot more effort, having to work harder. Trying to look at the clock at the same time doesn't work. Last few seconds. And bring the foot down. So we can see that my right leg is better than my left at holding me up. I'll come back onto the mat. I'm going to take some neck stretches. So I'm going to have the feet about hip distance apart. So I get a nice stable balance base. Drop the chin in towards the chest. Take the neck slowly over to the left. And then roll it back down as I exhale. Inhale over to the right. So just half circles. So really working into the lower neck muscles. Getting a bit of a stretch into the top, but I'm moving carefully, so I'm avoiding that compression in the neck. I'll bring the neck back into a neutral position. Standing at the front of the mat in the same position, the feet hip distance apart. Take the hands up towards the sky on the breath in. Stretch up towards the sky with fingertips. And then bring the hands through the heart as I exhale. Take another breath in. And on the exhale, I hinge forward slowly. Drawing the belly in. Taking the weight into the thighs a little bit, into the toes. Folding in slowly. Over a couple of breaths. I'll come up onto the shins with the hands. Extend the chest forwards into that half forward fold. Just being conscious of keeping the balance even in the feet as I move through. Coming back down. I'll lift up again one more time. Some I'll bend the knees a lot. So the hands come forward, so I'm moving through chair to come back up towards the sky. Letting the hands come out to the side, I'll draw them behind my back, squeeze the shoulder blades together and draw them down towards the floor. And then let the chest lift up towards the sky a little bit. The eyes will follow where the heart shines. And then release, come back. Take the hands to the sky again on the inhale. Bring the hands through the heart. Exhale slowly into that forward fold. Sit down deep again. Draw the hands forward. Allow yourself to lift up. Take the hands out wide. I'm going to bring the feet together again so they touch. Allow myself to take the arms out wide. Now soften the knees over the toes. So leaning forwards a little bit. I'm going to thread my left leg over the top of the right. But rather than try and draw the foot around the shin, I'm going to keep the big toe of my left foot on the ground. So it's out to the right side. I'm going to bring the right arm across, left arm across, over the top. And bring yourself into eagle arms. I'll release the arms out. Untangle the legs. So stand up again, draw the hands towards the sky. Stretch up high, bring the hands in towards the heart. And take the arms out wide again and soften the knees over the toes. Going to thread that right leg over. So just be on the tippy toe, squeezing the thighs together. And the opposite arm comes under. So last time. Just drawing ourselves into those eagle arms. Trying to keep the hips square to the front of the mat. And release the arms out. Take the hands up towards the sky again. Bring the hands through the heart. The feet out to that hip distance apart. Slowly hinge forwards as you exhale through your next breath. And down to the floor. I'm going to take a little stretch here. I'm going to take the fingers forward just a little bit. So they feel like they're more underneath your shoulders. So if you're like me, where your forward fold doesn't actually see your chest right against your kneecaps, and your fingers are going to be out in front a little bit. And we're just going to bend one knee, whichever you prefer, and then softly bend the other knee. Drawing the belly in as we do, just moving through. Seeing how that feels in the hips. Very gently, just making sure that there's no pain as we do this. If there is anything that feels like a sharp pain, then I would suggest avoid running through this, just staying in the forward fold. Okay, we'll come back into the center, soften those knees again. So sit back deep, come into chair again. Let ourselves lift up high on the breath in. Take the arms out wide, draw the hands behind. On the inhale, we'll lift the chest, roll the shoulders back, little squeeze. Release. Bring the hands high and towards the heart. Exhale over and down to the floor. Sit down deep. Draw the hands forwards into that chair, drive through the legs. So we're not really holding, just floating the arms out. Take the hands behind again. Inhale the chest high, roll the shoulders back, get into a little bit of a back bend, release. Hands high on the inhale, stretch up. In towards the heart. And exhale down to the floor. Soften the knees and come into that chair pose again. This time we'll just let the hands come by the side. And then we'll zigzag the toes together so they touch, a little gap for the heels. Bring the hands in towards the heart. Soften the knees over the toes. We're going to take a chair balance. So we'll take the weight into the left leg. Slide the right foot forward so it's just off of the floor. Keep the thighs and the knees squeezing together. And we'll bring my foot back, try and stay in position. Use the weight into the opposite leg. Slide the left foot forwards. And then bring the foot back. Inhale high as we do, take the feet a little wider. Stretch up towards the sky, hands in towards the heart. Exhale slowly down. Fingers to the floor. Allow yourself to wiggle your feet out off of the mat, turning the toes out, heels in, and sitting the bottom down low. Drawing the tummy muscles in, you bring your hands gently onto your thighs to lift your body up into a more of a vertical line. We'll let ourselves wriggle from side to side, so just lifting the heel, moving to the ball of the feet. Playing around, just finding a comfortable place for the span of the legs. It takes a little while to kind of find out how wide you want to be. I'm going to make an assumption that we want to be wider than the mat, but smaller legs, and that'll be the case. And then just keeping the feet flat to the floor, we'll pulse gently sideways from side to side. Now I'm going to bring the hands down to the floor again, so hinge from the hips. Bring the hands down to the ground. Once they're safe, we'll step back into a down dog. See how that feels. Stretch the legs out a little bit. Now we place the block towards the back of the mat. Walk back enough so that I can get my heels onto the corner edges of the blocks in the down dog position. Then I'm going to turn the toes out to the side again, 45 degrees-ish. Not an exact science. Put hands in the rest of the way so I can come down into a squat. Coming down lower than we did before, right down as low as I can, hands away from the floor. Just going to draw the belly in. Now just allow the chest to open up a little bit. So got palms facing up and pressing the arms into the legs a little bit. And then providing a little bit of contraction the opposite way through the thighs. So net result is I'm not really going anywhere, but I've got to push in and a pull out. taking place. Hold that for about 30 seconds or so. You can breathe deep and slow. And then we're going to lift up. So just slowly lift up on the breath in. Take the hands towards the sky. And exhale back down. Slow. With the chance for the knee joints to open up. Keep them stable, so the slower we move through, the less chance there is of gaining an injury. Down and up for the last time. As you reach the hands up, just turn the heels off the block. Feet to the floor, hands into the heart. And shake it out, coming up to the front of the mat. Inhale high. Hands into the heart as we exhale down, slow. And we'll step it back into that down dog. Just check that your hands are nicely flat to the floor. We're going to take a three-legged down dog, so we'll lift the right leg high, keeping the hips square. Straight leg, spread out the toes, holding it for 1 breath, 2 breaths, 3 breaths. Bring the foot down, take the other leg up. And bring that foot down. We're going to take that into some hip circles whilst we're in down dog. We'll take the right leg high, bend the knee, and bring the heel in towards the buttock and flex the foot. Keep in that position with the foot. We'll draw the right knee back in towards the chest. Take the knee out to the side, lift it as high as you can, roll it around, and then back in again. And then we'll bring that foot to the floor. We'll take the opposite leg high. Bend the knee, flex the foot, lift the knee as high as you can so you get a little bit of rotation through the hip. Draw the knee back in towards the chest, scoop it out to the side, high as you can. Roll it around into the biggest circle you can imagine. Now it's okay to let the hips move around underneath you, but we'll try and keep the shoulders square to the ground. 1 more rotation. And bring that foot to the floor. We'll take a little breath. Hands back into the toes. Back of the mat into our forward fold. Hopefully that's getting a little deeper or just a little easier to be in. One more breath. We'll bring the hands into the hips, soften the knees a little, flat back to lift up. We'll shake it all out, come up to the front of the mat, roll the shoulders around a couple of times. And then I'm going to come off of the mat again, just standing to the side. So got a little bit of a firmer foundation. I'm going to make sure there's nothing around close to my feet if I need to step out. So my bolster gets demoted to the bottom of the mat a little bit more. I bring the hands in towards the heart, find a fixed object to focus on. We come into tree pose. I'm going to take the weight into my right foot first of all, lifting the heel on the left foot, and then turning the left knee out to the side. So big toe still on the floor. We'll bring the foot slowly up the side of the shin. Hold there. And then we're going to lift the foot even higher and try and bring the heel into the groin. So you can use the hands to help get a good purchase, and then bring the hands back in towards the heart. And then we can release. Every time I look at the clock, I lose my balance. So this focusing on a fixed point really does work. We'll take the hands in towards the heart and then prepare for the second side. So we'll just shift weight. Allow the heel to come on the ankle. So the big toes on the floor. You start to find some balance in the hip. You can press down through the foot. Feel the waist draw in a little bit. And then when you're ready, lift the foot away from the floor onto your shin. And then we'll see if we can take it higher. Release from that side as well. So we'll just shake the legs out a little bit. And we've got another standing balance to work through. So the feet stay back in position. We take the weight into the first leg. And this time we're going to draw the knee forward and up. Slowly bring the knee high enough so we can take the hands around the shin. Draw the shoulders back a little bit, draw the belly in. Try and keep a straight standing leg, so minimal bend, and also avoid pressing into the back of the knee. Got a little spin going on. And then we'll release gently. I'll come back to where it started off. It started to veer off a little bit. And then when we're ready, we'll load into the second leg. Find a point to focus on, draw the knee high. Let that knee come in towards the chest. So you might find it opens up a little bit and gets closer in towards the body. And then we'll release that foot as well. Just shake out the legs a little bit. I'll come back onto the mat. Take the hands high on the breath in. And towards the heart and exhale to the floor, nice and long. Let's step back into down dog. Come forwards into a plank, and we'll take half plank and up dog. You can bring the knees to the floor if you wish. Then we'll walk the hands back to the toes. And then bring the hands onto the hips, soften the knees and a flat back to lift up. And walk out to the front of the mat again and shake those shoulders out. So some nice shrugs. Then we'll take them the opposite direction. Float the arms out to the sky. Interlace the hands this time. Point the index finger towards the sky. And then take a side bend over to my left. As I exhale. Inhale back to the center. And take it over to the right. And back to the center as I inhale up. We'll do 3 to each side. And use the hands in towards the heart, the forward fold, exhaling down. We'll take the right foot to the back of the mat. I'm going to bring the hands forward. So I'm going to lift the fingertips off the floor, just draw the chest away. Turn the palms in, and out through the arms. And then draw the tailbone down to lift the body up into that high position. And bring the hands down to the floor. We'll step back into down dog. Come forwards into the plank, half plank and up dog. Adapt as you wish. And we'll finish that by drawing the right knee into the chest, coming into a lunge. And then on the next exhale, step forwards. And bringing the hands onto the hips that lift up. Always remembering to soften the knees and flatten the back. Inhale high. Hands through the heart. Exhaling slowly down to the floor. This time we're taking the left foot back. Take a little breath. Test the balance, just lift the fingers a little. Then lift the chest, get that nice line in the body. Float the arms forwards. Draw the tailbone down. We hold for 5 breaths. Although as I do my breath in and my breath out, I get the smallest of little pulses. So I lift just a fraction on the inhale. and release on the exhale. And it stops the muscles having to sort of fight and stay in position. There's a little bit of flex going on. It's microscopic. You might not be able to even pick it up on the screen, but it is working. And bring the hands to the floor. Step it back into the down dog. And forwards into the plank, half plank and up dog. Finishing down dog. Again, we'll draw the left knee in for the lunge and hold. A chance to let the hips sink a little lower, roll the shoulders back a little further. Get a nice breath in, press off the toes, forward fold. Hands onto the hips. And we lift up. Hands into the heart. Rock them down by the side. And then we'll take those big shoulder shrugs again, where we're kind of moving the whole body around. Opposite direction. Okay. Now, keeping the feet hip distance apart, we can take the arms out nice and wide. You can bring the left arm across right arm over the top and allow the hands to come together for eagle arms. Soften the knees. I'm coming into chair pose. I'm going to try and stay in position. Load into the right leg. Slide the left foot back into a lunge. Once you've got your balance, let the arms release. Draw the tailbone back and we come back into the high crescent. Now we're going to extend forwards. Bring the hands to the floor. And then take the right hand high into a twist. Bring the hand back down to the floor. Step it back into down dog. And the hand is in towards the feet. Pressing the feet down, hips up, belly in. Soften the knees a little. Lift yourself up on the exhale. Shake it all out to the front of the mat. Some more shoulder shrugs. And we'll move it the opposite way. The arms out wide. We'll bring left arm across, right arm over the top. Come back into those eagle arms. Soften the knees, back into chair. Now take the weight into the left foot, slide the right foot back into lunge. You might have to wriggle around to find your balance, but that's the idea. Draw the tailbone down. Release the arms. And come back into the high crescent. Extend out slowly again. Press out through the back heel. Keep the belly drawn in. Bring the hands to the floor. Allow yourself to take that left hand up towards the sky for the twist. Strong back leg. Should be able to feel the knee muscles around the quads starting to lift a little bit as you press out through that back heel. We'll bring the hands down to the floor. Step it back into our down dog. And then again, we'll walk the hands in towards the toes. Let those legs open out a little bit more. And we'll soften the knees, hands on the hips, and we'll lift up again. We walk out to the front of the mat. Put the hands high, into the heart. One more time. Interlacing the hands, index finger points up. We take it over to the left. Inhale to the center. Over to the right. 3 times in all. Back to the center, hands into the heart. We exhale down to the floor. We'll take ourselves back into plank. And we're going to take a side plank. So you want to make sure your feet are at least hip distance apart. Gives you space to then roll the feet over onto the left side. Allow yourself to come onto the side edge of both feet. And lift the right hand towards the sky. And lift the hips as high as you can. And we'll bring the hands down, come into the second side. And bring the hands back down. From plank, we'll bring the knees to the floor. Sit back down into child's pose. Bring the hands underneath the forehead. Knees are relatively close together. Relaxing the shoulders. Breathing deep into the back muscles. Maybe sighing out through the mat. And then we'll slowly lift up. So I'm going to take the feet towards the front of the mat. Bring that block back in. So lifting up, legs out in front. And I'm going to take a seated twist first of all. So feet together, and then bring the left foot underneath and take the right foot across. Sit both sitting bones down onto the floor. Left arm lifts, and rotates around. Now you can turn the head over towards the rear shoulder if you wish. And then we'll release from here, take the legs out again, and we'll move into the second side. Release from there as well. The slide just forwards of the block, so coming off the sitting bones down to the floor into my Dandasana position, and taking the hands out in front and then lifting them up towards the sky. That shoulder distance plus a little bit wide. I'm going to rotate the body so that my chest starts to move towards the right. I'll lengthen the arms out down the center line of the mat and then bring them back up again. So just rotating very gently, allowing the movement to come from the chest, rotating around, and the arms are following rather than letting the arms lead and hoping the body twists. So I'm not trying to overtly use the leverage of the arms to help with the twist. I want it to come from the center of the body. So trying to inhale up and exhale down. Appreciate you might be moving quicker or slower than mine. Almost there. And then hands come to the floor. Feet come in just a little bit so I can lift back up onto my block. And then bring the right heel in towards the groin, knee out to the side. Square the hips, Janu Shasana. So hands onto the shins, I lift up, little flex in the foot. Gonna fold over deep, lengthen the chest forwards. Slide the hands as far forward as I comfortably can. And then draw the shoulders back a little bit so I get a little bit of stretch through the shoulders as well. Start to send that left hip towards the back of the mat. And now release. Come back out of that. And we'll take it to the second side. Square it up again. And lengthen out. Take a breath or two. Make sure you're in a happy place. Slide the hands as far forward as you comfortably can. Draw the shoulders back a little bit. Belly drawn into the spine. Breathe a little more into the chest. And then we'll release from there as well. So we're going to come into a reclined twist. I'm going to move the bolster forwards. And I'm going to take the block and just place that under the front end. And then give the bolster a little bit of a wiggle at the end that's closer to me, so it's a little bit flatter. And then I'm going to turn my body out towards my right side of my mat. Get about a fist distance between my hip bone and the bolster, so there's space for me to move into. And then with my legs out to the side, I'm going to turn my body towards the bolster and have one hand either side of that bolster. I'm going to take the leg that's closer to me, which is going to be sort of my lower leg, and bend that knee. So I've now got a 90-degree bend in it, and the shin's following the line of the mat. And I'm going to slide the top leg out and into the center line of the mat. And then bend that knee and let that knee come to the floor. Otherwise, it's kind of just floating up in the sky. And then lay down gently into the bolster. Turn the head whichever way you find more comfortable. And we're trying to just allow the chest to sink into the bolster. Appreciate that rotation and the size of our body and the size of the bolster you've got, etc. All make for it to look a little bit different from body to body. But it's pretty much a resting place for us to be. Close your eyes and be here for about 3 minutes. So plenty of time to start to release and yield into this posture. Restorative posture. So we really want the shoulders to be nice and relaxed, and the spine to play around, move the head around a little bit. To bring your hands back under your body, and on an exhale, press away gently. Now, if you're able to still see the screen and just roll across around to the other side and come into position, then that's fine. For me to be able to look at the timer, it's moving the blocks and bolsters to the other end. So whatever's the easiest really is the route to go with. And then again, we set ourselves up. So enter our hip bone to the bolster. We have a nice gap, at least it fits, plus a little bit. Feet out to the side. So we've already got 190 degree. Turn the body and roll in towards the bolster. Allow ourselves to bend that bottom leg, so 90 degrees, and then just slide the heel and the foot out to the center line of the mat. Bend your knee, get your next 90-degree angle, and then roll the chest in gently. So you can feel some quite big stretches in the sort of lower back and around this top of the hip, sort of in the transverse abdominis muscle, which sits down here. It's kind of getting a stretch out. It does a lot of rotation work for us, so this is lengthening it out a little bit, which is why it can feel a little bit pulley sometimes. Also with the bottom leg, or the top leg rather, moving downwards towards the bottom of the floor, getting a little bit of abduction in there that not necessarily all of us have available. So getting that knee down to the floor sometimes can be a little bit of a groin strain as well, and a hip strain. So if you are feeling that uncomfortable on that top leg, knee on floor, you can always use a towel or a cushion underneath that leg, just to give it a little bit of height. And then we'll use the hands again to come under the body, draw the shoulders back a little bit, and then exhale, and slow lift up. Now we're going to come into our Shavasana, and I'm going to use the bolster again for underneath the back of the legs, and I'm going to use the block as well. And I'm getting a little bit chilly because we've had a nice rest, so I'm going to grab an extra layer. Make our way down onto the floor. So you could be using an extra top, or you've got a thin blanket around. That could be quite nice. Just gives you a feeling of being cocooned. We'll take the feet out wide. When you're using the bolster under the back of the knees, always keep the heels on the ground throughout, so it's easier on your spine. Otherwise, you're actually overstressing your hip flexors and the lower back, and it really doesn't give you that restorative benefit. Might feel nice, but actually wears the muscles out a little bit. We're trying to restore rather than work them. So once you're in position, put yourself down safely. Just wriggle out the shoulders, the hips, and the legs. Let the legs and the hands just roll out freely as you close your eyes. And loosen the jaw a little bit. And we'll be here for about 4+ minutes. And lots of time to just let the body sink. Okay, we'll start to stretch those fingers and toes. Breathe a little deeper. Begin to move the wrists and the ankles. The body starts to feel a little more connected. We can take a deeper breath and exhale, use that to stretch out. And the knees back in towards the body. Give ourselves a really gentle hug of any sort and shape size. Gently over to the right side. And we use the exhale to press into the floor. Gently move back up to sitting. Let the hands come in towards the heart as we take a breath in. And on the exhale, let the chin drop. Start to bow to the floor as we draw the belly to the spine, sealing our practice for the morning. Inhaling, the breath builds the spine for us, the head follows, the eyes track upwards. Namaste. Thank you very much for joining me this Sunday morning. Hope you enjoyed our gentle dynamic class this morning, working a little bit on some balance as well. See you on the mat again soon. Take care.